Hello and welcome to Thaiger Bites. This is where we get to address your comments and feedback from all of our shows on YouTube as well as Instagram, Facebook and the Tiger Talk forum on the website. And joining me today is Tim Newton and we're in space.
Hey, good to be here, Jay.
It's in respect to Star Wars and Star Trek. We love you both.
New series of Star Trek coming out.
Yes.
On
Kenobi
Paramount.
coming out soon.
Obi-Wan Kenobi series coming out for the Star Wars fans. So good time if you're into sci-fi.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, kicking us off today with our first comment is news now, tomorrow, today.
That's the person's handle?
Yes. And they're saying, who in the F says EDM?
Okay, so EDM is electronic dance music.
That's right. And
But it breaks up into a whole lot of genres, though.
that's right. Well, he starts off saying, who in the F says EDM? I mean, what is that? There is house, garage, drum and bass, tech house, hard house, speed garage, Italo house, techno, gabba, trance. Which one is it? Stop saying EDM.
Well, I mean, you've got to sort of put all these things into a box and say, these are all EDM.
Yeah.
They're all styles of EDM, but they're all EDM. Get over it, jeez. You're the one who said EDM. It's your fault.
I did say EDM.
You're right. He should have specified exactly what sort of EDM.
Well, I don't know what clubs
Jay.
you go to, but in some of the clubs here in Phuket and Bangkok, they specify what genre of music they have, and they say, oh, this club has EDM. So blame the clubs.
If they can't play just one type of EDM all night.
Yeah.
They've got to play a little bit of this and a bit of that, so they get the house
Tim,
group in.
everybody knows Friday nights are reserved for Egyptian reggae.
You look a bit Egyptian.
Yes, I do.
You're not dressed. You're not walking like an Egyptian. But I'm going completely random.
Okay.
A bit like you just then.
All right.
Off the phone again. This is our YouTube account. I
Yeah.
have just scrolled on, and I'm going to read them in order, completely unvetted. I'm worried already. Oh dear. Ron says, Tim rattles on endlessly about Thai tourism, but says nothing with any additional value.
Oh, Ron is another fan of mine as well. I've
Is
never.
it? Ron's.
Ron's taken an issue with me recently.
I think, well, today I thought I came up with a very good idea for Thai tourism about the sex tourism.
Yeah.
Saying package it, embrace it, do something with it. So I did add value. Thank you, Ron.
Yeah.
Next.
I actually went to another episode a couple of days apart to find a comment, and I've just now realized that it's another comment from the same person. So
Ron?
news now, tomorrow, today.
Oh, gosh.
He says, Jay talks such nonsense. There's no dress code when meeting the Queen of UK. Yes, it's probably best to dress smart. But there is no official rules, and in some cases, she meets many people in normal, everyday clothes. So I don't know what Jay is on about. You just said in your comment that it's better to dress smart. Dressing smart is a dress code. And you can't just... What do you mean by normal, everyday clothes? Can I go wearing slippers and shorts and T-shirts? I'm from Phuket. That's everyday clothes for me. So there is a dress code.
I've met QE2 twice.
There is appropriate attire. Come on.
In both cases, I panicked about what I should wear. I think I wore a tie on both occasions and a suit coat.
Nice.
But, yeah, I mean, but if you're like Dame Edna Everage,
Okay. Yeah.
oh, you can't wear that. But that's
Is she the one with the scarves
that's
and the
the-
hat?
but that's the character.
Yeah.
For those people that don't know of Dame Edna Everage, you might have to Google that.
This person's just really upset. Like Ron. Maybe they're friends.
The only thing you learn in school is how to stop dreaming. This one from Sa Prapompon,
Prapapon.
who could be a Thai person.
Could be.
Very strong possibility. This is a good point that maybe school in many locations does say, this is what you need to know, this is what you need to learn. Stop dreaming, stop looking out the window, stop planning space travel or new types of computer, or stop all that. So maybe education generally is a bit of a buzzkill for the dreamers. But Elon was a dreamer.
I was
Mark
about-
Zuckerberg was a dreamer.
Yeah. Elon Musk doesn't hire people with MBAs. He just says, nay, that degree is useless.
He's a horse?
No.
Nay.
No.
No.
What?
Okay, your turn.
Right. Albert Danka says, Jay, it's tourism officials in Thailand must blame for what's happening now. I think this is a comment from the weekend update I did. And I was talking about basically that about tourism officials and reopening. He thinks the tourism officials are to blame. Albert, thank you for the comment. I don't think I quite agree with that. I think the tourism officials actually have gone out of their way to be overly optimistic.
Sure.
And come up with some crazy predictions.
Open up now.
That and they're desperate, in fact, to open up. And they're probably the only ones who are putting the most amount of pressure in government to push for entry restrictions to be lifted completely, Thailand Pass to be lifted. So I think you might be focusing on the wrong group.
Yeah, the Public Health Department, a few select doctors, and the double CSA have been the ones with the handbrake on reopening. But it looks like the TAT and the Tourism Ministry and all the players and the stakeholders in the tourism industry in Thailand are now starting to win the day as things slowly open up. Nick says, that's another one about me. Tim's the main weapon, I think.
You are the main weapon.
Not quite sure what he means.
Of destruction.
I'm taking it as a compliment. Right. These are completely random, just read off in order. I haven't even looked at the next one. We'll soon find out.
Here we go. Alex Whitley is trying to catch us off. He says, question without notice. Is it true that if you have a Thai partner living in Thailand, as I do, if she books your accommodation instead of you, because she is Thai, she gets 40% off the advertised price? Or am I being misled? Thanks. Alex, I think it might have something to do with local nationals. So Thai nationals do have a certain discount that the government provides.
Yes. So, if she books it,
Yeah.
you're in.
A couple of months ago, they had Pai Tia Doi Kan, which basically means let's go have fun together, which allowed and promoted domestic tourism. So a lot of people from Bangkok came to Phuket. Phuket people went to Chiang Mai, and they had about 30-40% discount on hotels. 40% is a bit optimistic, to be honest. I don't know if it's 40%, but at least 20, 25. Vishai, does Thailand currently, the government, have any promotion for traveling?
I'm not sure, but I think they have a Lao Tia Doi Kan. I'm not sure.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's the one I just said. Lao
They had them. I
Tia
think
Doi
they're
Kan.
sort of, if they're not wound back
Yeah.
completely, they're certainly wound back. I'm just wondering if my green pants
Oh.
come up on the green screen. I don't know. I'm not sure.
They also had Kola Krung, which is 50-50. They get, I think you get discounts 50% on food when you go and purchase food from a local market, up to 150 baht a day.
There has been a lot of money thrown at getting Thais to travel domestically, and that's one way they've been able to keep part of the tourism economy going. So the Thai government, I think, have done really well to keep the tourism industry just bubbling along, even if the foreign tourists weren't coming. This is from Ian Anderson. That's a nice, easy one. 20 million tourists dream on Thailand. Not with everything going on in the world. There are 6 months of low season. Cut the racist treatment. Clamp down on police. Oh, he goes on and on. Police money grabbing mafia. Stop dual pricing. He's pretty much covered everything. We can leave the show.
Yeah.
After this, he's covered everything. And learn, most tourists think. Do you really think a family want to bring kids to a weed-promoting country? Oh, this gets into what we were talking about this
Because
morning.
people with kids do not travel to Netherlands. They just don't.
I think when he's talking about WEED, he's talking about those things in the garden that you pull out
Yeah.
because they're not part of the lawn.
Of course.
I go walk on the beach every night and get pushes every night trying to sell us stuff to me. I don't take drugs, and this part's in caps, and I don't drink alcohol. I find it offensive to be approached. Don't approach me.
You know someone's serious when they type in all caps. That's the universal language of, I mean it, I'm angry.
So Ian says 20 million tourists dream on Thailand. I'm inclined to agree with you. The other stuff, not so much.
The
But
other 90%.
but as far as 20 million tourists coming to Thailand next year, I would say Highly unlikely, however, the Prime Minister of Thailand and the head of the TAT, Yutesak Supasorn,
Yes.
disagree with me, and that's fine.
And that's fine. I've got a comment from Go Yo Y who says, "Hello Tim, is it possible to purchase Tiger merchandise in any Thailand stores? I'm coming in a couple of months and fancy a few of those black tees." And we're not wearing currently the black tees, but you can visit thetiger.com/shop to check out our Tiger black tees, and you can also buy these beautiful mugs in classic black and gold, or just gold.
And the paintings, wherever they are.
And of course the paintings,
The famous
and
tiger
a host
painting.
of other things. It takes about 2 days to get it shipped to you. So if you are coming to stay in a hotel, you can order it to your hotel.
Just, we ended up driving stuff to a hotel the other day. Don't go there.
Oh.
Yeah, look, if you are in Phuket or Bangkok, there is a possibility that you could come and pick it up at either of those locations at our office, but you need to give us a bit of notice. So if you are in Thailand, there's no shops that sell. I mean, you can't go to Chatuchak and we don't have a store. That's an idea.
A store in
The Tiger store. You could do that on the weekend.
I could. It is a weekend market.
Yeah, you could spend the weekend
Live.
flogging live.
Live from Chatuchak Market. A live stream, just an all-day live stream.
And you could be selling coffees on the side.
Or not.
Harold.
Love the name Harold.
Harold.
One of my best friends was called Harold.
Harald. Harold.
Oh, okay.
If the Thai pass is for health reasons, it makes no sense to differentiate between Thai nationals and foreigners. The virus does not care where you are from. But if the Thailand pass also includes the immigration registration, then it could make sense because you could skip the card you have to fill out on the plane. A few comments about that, and I know you got some thoughts on this as well. As far as the TM8,
TM6.
the white card with the blue writing, even though you're still having to do the Thailand pass at the moment, people on planes are still having to fill out their TM6 before they land, or after they land, if you're silly, because you don't get to immigration first. So I would like to think if they're going to keep any sort of digital gateway in the future, that it replaces the TM6. That's the only way I would see, or any reason to keep it. As for the reason the Thailand pass being abolished for just Thais, you got your own thoughts on that. You think it's cool. You think Thais should be abolished for Thai people because it's Thailand.
I think it should have not been there in the first place. For Thai citizens, they're just coming back to the country. You shouldn't be having to do additional paperwork to get back into your own country.
Okay. So Jay completely misunderstands what the Thailand pass is about. That's sad.
I just feel like citizens deserve to be treated special.
But they can bring back the disease just like the dirty foreigners.
Yeah.
So that's why they had to fill out the Thailand pass. They had to upload their vaccination. They had to book into a hotel for one night
I'm not saying,
while they waited for their PCR test.
I'm not saying I have the answer of what they could have done better, but I'm just stating that, in my opinion, any citizen coming back to their own home country should get something special. Maybe not the Thailand pass. Maybe they have to do something else that was a bit easier, because you're going home. If I went back to my home and I had to deal with a headache, I would be upset. I think anyone would.
So it's okay for the locals to not have a headache, but the foreigners who are coming here to spend their money, they get the headache.
I don't have the answer for that.
Maybe the Thai Prime Minister could be waiting for them at the airport and give them a big hug, give the Thai people a hug. But the foreigners, no.
This is in particular when, the pandemic was at a high. We're now at currently a different time. Now the country's opening up. Now I say, get rid of the Thailand pass. Everybody come in. It's time to open up, right?
But get rid of it for everybody, not just Thais.
I'm talking about during the time when the pandemic was crazy and family members were separated for years. That's when the country should have come up with something special for their own citizens.
Can I
so
say
that families could be together?
That even before the Thailand pass, it was possible pretty much throughout the pandemic to come back to Thailand. There were mechanisms. They involved quarantine. It was 14-day quarantine at one stage. But there was still, when people say, I couldn't get back into Thailand for 2 years, Yes, you could. Yes, there were hurdles to jump over, but don't anybody say I couldn't get back to Thailand.
Well, it would have just cost too much. Not everyone
Some
has
of
that
it
much
wa-
money.
But you could stay at a cheap ASQ hotel. Mind you, they were pretty ratchet from what I heard.
That's what I mean. You have to go through all of that
Sure.
just to come home.
But you could.
Just
You
to
could.
be with your fam.
But the Thai people didn't have to pay for the ASQ. They got sent off to the gulag to stay in.
Oh, yeah.
They were horrible facilities, the Thai
Yes.
quarantine facilities, but they didn't have to pay. They could upgrade to an ASQ, but apparently the food and the accommodation was pretty awful.
And at the start, some of the ASQ hotels, you know, were
Dodgy. Allegedly dodgy. Jess Kuss, spelled K-U-S, says, I'm an elementary teacher in a private school in Chiang Mai. I've seen firsthand the experiences of educators and students, another long one, through the pandemic. I tell you what, Jess, I'm not going to read that because it's a long one. I've just got to keep to short ones. We haven't got 3 hours today, but thank you very much for your rather long dissertation.
Can I ask you a follow-up question?
Yes.
Not regarding that, but let's say that you were traveling back to Australia
Yes.
and you're going to go to meet your family.
Yeah.
You haven't seen them already in a long time.
Yeah.
It's
Do
really-
I think I should have special treatment?
Yes.
No.
Really?
No.
Really?
If it's a health situation, if it's a pandemic and they're trying to stop a disease that both Australians and foreigners could catch, then I don't want to be treated any different.
Okay. That's big of you.
I'm not special.
That's big of you.
Well, you're not Thai.
No. But that's what I'm saying. If I had to go, when it came to my family, I'd do anything. That's me being completely honest. When it comes to my family and my loved ones, I would do anything for them. And I bet you would too. You're just saying this now.
I wouldn't expect. I wouldn't be surprised. I would like preferential
Exactly.
treatment.
You'd like. That's the point.
But
That's
I
the
wouldn't.
point.
I wouldn't expect it.
Of course. Of course.
Tom wrote a much shorter message, and it's not about the Thailand Pass. Just like two-price system, one for Thai and one for non-Thai. I'm not sure if he's alluding to the Thailand Pass situation, but yes, there is, in some situations, a two-price system here in Thailand. The thing is, if the Thais were able to get in without the Thailand Pass, that would give another reason for all these people to have a whinge about the way they're being treated. Oh, it's two different systems for people. You agree in two-price? You agree with dual pricing?
No.
Well, let the Thais come in without a Thailand pass. Will I go on?
How's that the same? How's dual pricing and entering a country
Because
during a pandemic?
They're not going to be paying for the Thailand pass, for the insurance. Well, they'd have to pay
Well,
for
Thailand
insurance
passes,
anyway.
you don't have to pay for Thailand Pass.
No, the Thailand pass itself is free.
You mean the
However,
hotel, yeah.
the PCR test and the one night of accommodation, you had to pay for those things.
Yes.
Your turn.
Nick Tesley says, I disagree with Tim about free speech. I understand your point when the platform uses guidelines to silence the truth for political purposes or government control, then it falls into like a communist country. Tim, you should go live in China, then you will know what I mean. Tim loves China, we all know that.
Dear. Look, I mean, when it comes to freedom of speech, believe me, I've lived with the concept of freedom of speech and journalism in at least 2 different countries, and it's something I've contemplated and thought a lot about. So the concept of freedom of speech, I believe, is sacrosanct. It's something we should all desire and all move towards. However, you can't have one freedom of speech for every country because different countries have got different laws. And you can't have a platform which is providing completely open freedom of speech operating in a country that has restrictions on freedom of speech. And that's the government's prerogative to be able to clamp down on people saying things that they don't want said. And it's not up to you to be able to demand freedom of speech in a foreign country. So I just think there are limitations. There are practical limitations to freedom of speech. And as I've always said, with it comes responsibility. You can't just say anything about anybody. And that's why we have libel laws. That's why we have a civil organised society. Because if you just have open slather, say whatever you want about anything and anybody, then you've got complete anarchy. And people won't know what's right and what's wrong. And all I've said is that freedom of speech as a concept is great, but somewhere along the line, somebody's going to have to be the umpire. We might hate the umpires. I'm sure everybody hates umpires in soccer and stuff. But you've got to have...
Cricket, you mean?
In cricket as well. Oh, in Australian rules football, oh, the umpires are...
Oh, really?
Oh, hated. But as far as freedom of speech is concerned, there has to be some sort of umpire. That's all I'm saying. I like the concept of freedom of speech, but I also understand, because I work with it every single day and I have to make decisions every single day. My responsibility, sort of running the English part of a small media company, is something that I'm very, very aware of. And I understand people are passionate about freedom of speech, but I also know you have to have some sort of limitation. And that's limitations what people fight against. This is all to do with Elon buying Twitter.
I think so, yes.
Can I make a prediction?
Okay.
I don't think that sale's ever going to go through.
I think it's a bit too late for that now.
Well, it hasn't gone through yet. So I'm just saying that I think it may not happen. Is it me or you?
It's you.
From Bob McKinnon. Thai government want tourists to improve the economy, and to require the pass for tourists and not for citizens may cause some tourists not to come. That's another thought. Maybe people are going to go, oh, those Thais are getting in for free, why not me? But I think that would be a minimum of people, wouldn't it? I would get that upset. Oh my God.
People are going to get upset. They're going to get upset.
Sure.
I get it.
And let me tell you, they do. Missed this segment for a long time. Watch it Sundays while having coffee in the winter time.
It's Tiger Shorts.
It's Thaiger Short. Missed this segment. What was that out of? What 300k brings you for a condo in Bangkok? Must be one of Jet's videos.
Probably.
Property videos. Okay. Thank you. That's great. We're happy to have something that you're missing.
All right. That's it. That's all we have for the show.
Can I give you one more?
All right.
I'll see if I can find a good one.
Okay.
Wondered about the connection between Thai and... Oh, this is interesting. Here we go. This one from Paul UK Net. I've often wondered... I'm always aware that people are going to try and do a Mo from The Simpsons on us. They're going to try and write... you know the ones. Mm-hmm. Semen stains and things like that. Paul... There was a story last week. Oh, I won't go into that. Paul UK Net said, I've often wondered about the connection between Thai animist beliefs and red carbonated drinks. Now I know, thank you. That is interesting. I learnt that because I've been seeing it for years, walking past every second building, every public building. They've got the sacred houses. What are they called? The
spirit houses?
The spirit houses. And they've always got the red Fanta. I'm thinking, well, usually sitting there in the can. Or sometimes...
It's in a bottle, the see-through bottle.
Yeah, sometimes the can.
Yeah.
Now, why? What is it about spirits and pink lemonade? But it's apparently meant to be representing the animal's sacrificial blood. But I don't know of many animals with...
Sounds a bit grim when you say
pink lemonade. Maybe they should then pour it on the pink Fanta on an animal carcass or something. No,
I don't know about that. I don't mess with spirits. I respect. I just stay away from that.
Do you believe in that other dimension of spirits and afterlife?
Ooh, I don't know. To be honest...
You've been brought up into sort of a religious background. You have a religious dimension.
Yes, to be honest, I mean, we're just tiny little things in this entire universe. I'm guessing.
You're not a tiny little thing, let me tell you.
But I just normally just don't personally believe in it, but at the same time I don't say anything against it.
Just in case.
Just try to just in case.
Hedging your bets.
I'm a neutral bunny. I'm just neutral.
I think it's all a load of garbage, but I'm respectful of people's beliefs.
You can't say that.
If people want to believe in an afterlife, that is absolutely fine with me.
Tim Newton, how dare you?
I tell you what, the pilot of my plane, I want to be an atheist. I want them to be fearing the moment that they're finished. I don't want anybody driving my plane who believes in an afterlife and thinks, I can trash this plane, we'll all have a second life. No.
I don't think any pilot thinks that way, but sure. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching the show. If you have enjoyed it, please click the like button, subscribe to the channel, comment, and let us know what you think about any of the questions we've said too far. And once again,
Buy a mug.
buy a mug, and yeah, don't take things too seriously. Life's good.
And just remember that J is just a little thing
Yes.
in this whole big cosmos.
Space.
The final frontier.
We'll be back next week.